The following is a recording from the GOP conference meeting on January 5th, chaired by Wyoming's Liz Cheney. The first to speak is Chip Roy, a Texan and one of the most conservative members of the House.
The gentleman from Texas, Mr. Roy.
I thank the chair. Every single one of us wants Donald Trump to be president for another 4 years. We all know what a Biden presidency will mean to the union, and we all shudder to think about it. I believe that widespread adoption of mail-in ballots, even before the virus, which many were adopted before the virus, plus reduction in safeguards as a result of the virus, basically contributed to the president's defeat. I do. I believe that's true. I think many of us in this room believe that's true. But I see no path, either constitutionally or practically, to victory. So we have two things tomorrow. We're going to have essentially a political vote, a messaging vote, a political vote that's going to be important to all of us. And we have one of the most consequential votes we'll ever take for our constitutional order, in my humble opinion. I believe the following. Number one, rejecting the electors violates the Constitution, in my view. The 12th Amendment is clear. It's black and white. We count. I believe it is primarily ministerial, and that our only real decision is to review the electors before us. And we have only one slate of electors per state you can reasonably say were sent to us under color of law from that state. Number two, to the extent you believe we do have constitutional authority to reject, we are arguing using incorrect, incomplete, unproven, and often misleading data points to prove it in some cases. In Pennsylvania, we were told there were 1.8 million ballots mailed, yet 2.5 million ballots returned, only to discover that 1.8 million figure was from the 2020 primary. I've answered thousands of questions in my office about that. We were told in an affidavit in Michigan that 19 precincts showed greater than 100% turnout, only to discover those precincts were in Minnesota. We were told the turnout in the city of North Muskegon was 782%, only to find that it was a decimal place error and that it was 78%. And I've answered hundreds of questions about that. Number three, rejecting the electors violates the spirit and structure of our Republican form of government as articulated in Federalist 68, 45, 46, 51, and others. Number four, the founders specifically drafted the inclusion of a phrase specifically putting Congress into the manner of the election process of these states and then specifically rejected it. Number five, if a majority of Republicans vote to reject the electors, it will irrevocably empower Congress to take over the selection of presidential electors. And doing so will almost certainly guarantee that a Democrat House would vote to reject the electors of Texas or any of your states based on our use of voter ID, our failure to adopt mail-in ballots, our choice of voting locations or otherwise. That will come in 24 or 28. Number six, I cannot see how voting to reject the electors is remotely consistent with our vote on Sunday, and more importantly, our collective willingness to accept the outcome of the election of ourselves through elections conducted under the same rules, by the same procedures put in place by the same executive branch officials impacted by rulings from the same judges, state and federal. Voted to affirm our seats just Sunday with only 2 no votes. Number 8, the strongest argument for rejection, if you believe that's possible in the first instance, which is not my view, is based on the allegations of systemic election abuse by executive or judicial branch officials interfering with the legislatures thereof. But I repeat, we just voted to accept ourselves under the same system, which is particularly problematic if you buy the Article 2 argument because it's systemic and it believed it should be a fatal flaw for our own elections. And B, 5 of the 6 legislatures are controlled by Republicans. Not one body, not one, has sent separate electors. Not one body has sent us even a letter by a majority of just the Republicans. Not one GOP statewide official. Not one law enforcement organization. History will judge this moment. If we are ready to have a serious conversation about the ability to maintain this union based on what we face, we should sit down and have that conversation. If we're ready to take aggressive action to halt the slide into the abyss our nation is taking, let's have those conversations. But let us not turn the last firewall for liberty we have remaining on its head in a fit of populist rage for political expediency. I am going to get roasted by my base, but I'm going to go meet with every single one of them, and I'm going to explain to them why this is a defense of the United States Constitution and why it is critical that we maintain our republic, maintain the Electoral College, defer to the states to choose the president of the United States, and not insert Congress into that provision, which was specifically and wisely rejected by our founders. I say that humbly and respectfully.